Dear chosen ones, have you ever walked into a room and felt the tension rise the moment your name was mentioned? Not because you did anything wrong, but because your presence carries truth, and truth disrupts deception. You're not imagining it. The stares, the whispers, the strange silence when you enter. That's not paranoia. That's spiritual warfare reacting to your anointing. They lied about you, twisted your name, distorted your heart, and now those lies are unraveling. It's causing chaos behind your back. You were never called to fit in. You were called to stand out. And when God sets you apart, people will try to tear you down, especially when their masks start slipping. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal or the heat of silent attacks, drop in the comments right now. Let the enemy know you're still standing. Before we go deeper, thank you to every chosen one who watches, likes, shares, and walks this journey of faith and fire with us. Your support lights the path for others to awaken too. Let's uncover the truth behind their lies and why God is using even this to elevate you. Number 1. When the mask slips, divine exposure begins. Chosen one, you may not even realize it, but your truth is dangerous in a world that thrives on performance. In a culture addicted to filters, masks, and make-believe, authenticity feels like a threat. When you walked in with your realness, with your wounds showing but your spirit still shining, it exposed everything fake in the room. They couldn't handle it. They said you were too much, too deep, too intense. But really what they meant was, you see too clearly. Your presence, without even trying, acted like a spiritual MRI. It revealed cracks they had buried under charm, manipulation, and half-truths. And when the mask slipped, God didn't stop it. Because when the appointed one steps in, the hidden must come into the light. Think of Whitney Houston, a voice sent from heaven. Her presence lit up rooms, yet the same world that applauded her turned on her. Why? Because people couldn't separate her gift from their guilt. Whitney's light made some uncomfortable because it reminded them of what they had buried. Their dreams, their calling, their conscience. And that's the same with you. The lies that were told about you weren't told to protect you. No. They were crafted to protect them from having to face who they really are. You were a mirror, and they didn't like what they saw. Some of you walked away from circles, jobs, or even family situations and couldn't figure out why the atmosphere turned cold, why people started avoiding you, slandering you, rewriting your story. But it wasn't you. It was the truth you carry. Your light disrupted their image-based reality. Your growth made their stagnation obvious. And here's the part they didn't expect. Even when you left, the energy you brought remained. That spiritual residue began to stir things up. People who once stood together in false unity started turning on each other because it was never real to begin with. Your exit exposed the alliance. The same ones who lied on your name are now fighting amongst themselves because you were the glue, and they didn't even know it. God allowed this exposure not to embarrass anyone, but to realign you. You're not losing relationships. You're shedding illusions. Number 2, the explosion they thought they could contain. Chosen one. That falling out, that sudden shift in energy, that moment when people started backing away, whispering, accusing. It wasn't random. It wasn't petty. It was pressure. You were walking around holding truth like a torch in a room full of dry paper. They thought they could keep pretending, smiling, and keeping up appearances with you there. But God didn't send you to fit in. He sent you to ignite change. And fire always makes the air feel tense before it clears the way. Think about Nelson Mandela. They labeled him dangerous, a threat. Not because he was violent, but because he wouldn't accept the lie. He was caged for years, yet walked out as a liberator. Why? Because truth always outlives deception. They thought they could contain his fire, but it only burned brighter. And that's you. You didn't have to say much. You just showed up, and things started shifting. Conversations changed. People got defensive. Why? Because your energy exposed what they tried to bury. It wasn't your personality that made them uncomfortable. It was your purpose. Your alignment with God made their compromises impossible to ignore. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how someone would get agitated around you, and you hadn't even said a word? It's spiritual. It's deeper than attitude or opinions. It's your calling colliding with their comfort zone. You weren't just another person in the room. You were the sign that their time pretending was up. And when the truth couldn't be hidden anymore, the lie imploded. The circle that once seemed solid started to crumble. Not because you changed, but because the pressure could no longer be contained. The truth had to come out, and your very presence was the spark. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. But you know, and God knows, the explosion they're experiencing now. It started the moment they tried to cover a lie with your name. And guess what? You're not going back to silence just to make others comfortable. Because when truth is your weapon, even your silence shakes the ground. Number 3, behind closed doors, the fight began without you. Chosen one. You left the room, but the fight started the moment you walked away. What they called peace was never real. It was held together by silence, secrets, and shadows. But the moment your truth touched the atmosphere, everything fake began to fall apart. Behind closed doors, they started turning on each other. Whispers became arguments. Unity turned into blame, and you were nowhere near it. Because here's the truth. You didn't bring the chaos. You revealed it. Your presence was like flipping on the lights in a room full of dust. Suddenly, everyone could see what they were trying to hide. The masks didn't fit anymore. The lies couldn't line up. And they couldn't keep their stories straight, no matter how hard they tried. Think about Meghan Markle. All she did was walk into a royal system and speak her truth. And suddenly, centuries of silence were disturbed. She wasn't hated for being loud. She was hated because she disrupted tradition with truth. Her presence exposed cracks in a foundation that had been covered up for generations. Sound familiar? You've been through that. You walked into environments where you were instantly labeled, misunderstood, even blamed. Not because of anything you did, but because of what your light uncovered. Chosen one. This is spiritual warfare, not personal. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the change you represented. They were defending the illusion, not protecting the truth. And when divine justice steps in, separation becomes unavoidable. God doesn't play favorites. He reveals hearts. And once he does, the lines get drawn quickly. What was once hidden becomes obvious. And those who once laughed in your face now whisper your name in fear. Let this remind you, you didn't lose anything when they walked away. They lost the covering of grace you carried. Because when you're chosen, your presence doesn't just enter a room, it shifts it. Number 4, the truth is now screaming, chosen one. The truth they tried to bury is now screaming louder than ever. They thought ignoring you would make the truth disappear. They thought walking away from you would silence the voice of conviction. But here's the thing about truth. It doesn't die quietly. It echoes. It multiplies. It grows in the silence they left behind. You weren't just someone passing through. You were the prophecy in motion, a living message, a mirror they didn't ask for but couldn't unsee. And now, even though you're gone from their circle, your presence still haunts their spirit. They scroll your page late at night, pretending it's by accident. They hear your name in conversations and go quiet. They try to laugh it off, but deep down, they feel it. Because you didn't just pass through, you left an imprint. Let's get real. They lie about you, but they can't forget you. Because forgetting you would mean forgetting the lesson. And that lesson cost them peace. Look at Princess Diana. Her light exposed the shadows behind royalty. They couldn't understand her, so they labeled her too much. But even after her exit, her legacy only grew stronger. Malcolm X spoke with fire, called out injustice, and though misunderstood in his time, his truth could not be erased. Kanye West, love him or hate him, has been painted as extreme, yet his influence can't be denied. These are people who didn't fit in boxes, and neither do you. They feared you, not because you were wrong, but because loving you meant they'd have to confront their own falsehood. And they weren't ready to be real. But here's the divine twist. What they feared, God is using. What they rejected, heaven is restoring. And the truth they tried to hide, it's now marching through every crack, breaking their silence, and lighting up every corner where deception once lived. You are not forgotten. You are unforgettable. Number 5, the fire they lit is consuming them. They thought ignoring you would bring peace. They thought cutting you off, mocking you behind closed doors, and rewriting the story would somehow make their guilt disappear. But silence doesn't erase truth. It amplifies it. And now, the very fire they tried to control is burning from within. You were never the problem. You were the spark, the honest voice, the raw light, the real energy in a space that thrived on fake smiles and shallow games. But here's the truth they couldn't face. They were the fire, the resentment, the denial, the buried jealousy. They carried that. You didn't bring it in. You just exposed it. Now their own lies are suffocating them. They rehearse stories that no longer make sense. They feel convicted by memories they swore they buried. That peace they chased by getting rid of you, it came with torment. Because God doesn't let his chosen ones walk away unvindicated. And truth always returns with a roar. Look at Amy Winehouse. She didn't just sing, she poured her soul. And for that, they called her unstable. Jim Carrey spoke about awakening and mental health, and they labeled him crazy. Anthony Bourdain told the truth about the world's pain, and they questioned his peace. But these weren't unstable people. They were authentic in a world addicted to masks. Sound familiar? That's what you faced, and still face. But here's the deeper revelation. They're not at war with you. They're at war with themselves. They rejected your light not because it blinded them, but because it reminded them of the shadows they refused to face. And now, that fire, it's consuming the lies, the guilt, the fake alliances. One by one, the masks are melting. One by one, the walls are cracking. And in the center of it all is the truth they tried to kill. You. But you're still standing, still glowing, still rising, because what was meant to burn you, God is using to light your path. Chosen one, listen closely. You are not what they said about you. You are not the distortion they created to make themselves feel safe. You were the divine interruption, the shift, the mirror that revealed what they were too afraid to see. You were never too much. You were exactly enough. Enough to shift atmospheres. Enough to expose deception. Enough to stir demons that were comfortable in silence. You were never abandoned. You were evacuated. God didn't leave you behind. He pulled you out. Because he saw the fire coming, and he needed you to be far from it when the truth started tearing down every false foundation built in your absence. Don't you dare shrink back now. Don't apologize for carrying light in a world that's addicted to shadows. You are the aftermath they cannot escape. The voice that echoes long after the room has emptied. Comment 888 if you're done apologizing for being the truth in a world addicted to lies. And never forget this. They thought burying you was the end. But chosen one, your resurrection is just beginning. You didn't just survive. You were reborn, with fire in your eyes, peace in your soul, and divine clarity in your steps. Your radiance cannot be dimmed. Your assignment cannot be erased. You are chosen. You are called. You are rising. Until next time, walk boldly, shine unapologetically, and remember, heaven backs you.